Vande Mataram. Ma'am Anjali Jaipuria is an educationist pioneering fundamental change in India's educational landscape. Blending Vedic wisdom with modern needs, she has taught Bhagavad Gita since 2015 to a group of aspirants, aligning it with Sri Aurobindo's vision. Holding a bachelor's in economics from Lady Shri Ram College, she is vice chairperson of Seth M.R. Jaipuria School and president of Navsrijan, providing quality education to underserved children. As honorary managing trustee of the Mothers Institute of Research, she has spearheaded research in spirituality and education, publishing over 200 books. Anjali Ma'am's affiliations include YPO Gold, and she has been recognized with numerous awards, including School Excellence Leadership Award 2017. Her lectures and papers span diverse topics from divine feminine Shakti to harmonizing religions, delivered globally. Anjali Ma'am's initiatives include Dev Bhasha, a conversational Sanskrit curriculum, Healing Habitat, promoting gratitude and generosity, and projects aimed at raising students' consciousness. With her vision and dedication, Ma'am Anjali Jaipuria is reshaping education and fostering spiritual growth. Let's welcome Anjali Ma'am with a huge round of applause. Over to you, Ma'am.
It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled. From the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road, crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. When Khalil Gibran speaks of the river, who is he referring to? When Khalil Gibran is speaking of the river, who is fearful of entering into the ocean, who is he speaking about? Yes?
Humans, mankind.
Yes, humans. Very good. And when he speaks of the ocean, he is referring to the divine. Very good. Who, that divine, who is at once our source and our destination. Right? The Supreme Being, God Himself, is the source. वो हमारे स्रोत हैं. Where have we come from? He has become us. And who are we going towards? We are going towards Him. Dheere dheere, but we are going towards Him. The Gita says, Ahamadishcha madhyam cha bhutanam anta eva cha. I am the beginning and middle and end of all beings. See, the river trembles when it comes face to face with the expanse of the ocean. And similarly, we who are limited in our consciousness, we get intimidated. We get scared. We get intimidated by the words God, Supreme, Infinite, Eternal, Consciousness, because He seems so far, so vast, so difficult to reach, so difficult to clasp, so difficult to communicate with, and almost impossible to embrace and unite with. And that is why we become fearful. And we say, नहीं, I don't know who God is. हम अपने ऐसे ही जिंदगी में ठीक हैं. पता नहीं वो कौन है. But is he really so far? Is he really so difficult to reach? Is he really so difficult to clasp? Is he really so difficult to communicate with? Is he really impossible to embrace, love, and unite with? What do you feel, students? Is he so difficult to communicate with? Yes, you're right. It is not difficult to embrace him, for he resides right here within us. And I will try to elucidate this idea with the help of two existential questions of life. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Pramini ma'am. Good morning, Rahul, Palak, Shelly, all my teachers, and my dear, dear students. Today, I will bring before you two existential questions of life. Now, anybody here who doesn't understand the meaning of existential question? Existential comes from the word existence. So, an existential question is that which questions about the very purpose of life, about life itself. Who am I? Why am I here? What is this existence where I'm living? What is my relationship? What should be my relationship with this existence? What should be my relationship with God if there is any God? Who am I? So there are three basic things that we should question. Who am I? Who is God? And what is this creation? And then the next question should be, if I've come to know who I am, which we'll try to work on today, then the next question should be, what should be my relationship with this universe? What should be my relationship with God? These are existential questions, right? They question the very existence, our existence on this planet. So today I'll bring before you two existential questions. Questions that must be rising in some of you sometimes. Questions that we often tend to procrastinate. तो जीवन की आपाधापी में इतने बिजी हैं हम. अभी एग्जाम्स हैं, अभी मस्ती करनी है, अभी ये है, अभी वो है. ये क्वेश्चंस के आंसर कर लेंगे कभी ना कभी. That's what sometimes we do, right? That this question is not important. My teacher Kirit Joshi ji told me that whenever a question comes to you, instantly that question must be noted down somewhere. Because when a question comes to us and we don't note it down and then we get busy with life, then we forget the question. And what does that forgotten question do? Because it's a question, that means there is some kind of a haze. There is a haziness, right? There is no clear light. Right or wrong? That haze will get settled in the mind and the question will be forgotten. So Kirit Joshi ji always told me that whenever a question comes to you, Anjali, immediately pen it down. If you know somebody who can give you the answer, please go to that person and get the answer. If that is not the right time to ask, keep the question tucked in somewhere and get the answer sooner or later. So questions are very important. And it's been such a delight seeing all of you, the way you all have been questioning. Your questions are so deep, so beautiful. So we'll bring before you two existential questions. Questions that might be creeping up inside some of you sometimes. Questions that we have a habit of procrastinating for a later date. I will try to answer them first to the best of my ability. And then we will open the floor to questions and answers. The two questions are, who am I? And I think Palak ma'am, Shelly ma'am, Rahul sir, have really worked on this yesterday. So it just makes it much easier for me. In fact, I think you all already know the answer. And the second question is, what is the real purpose of life? So now we tackle this question, who am I? When I answer this question, who am I will bring up related questions and related questions and related questions so that the whole panorama of who am I becomes a little clearer to you. All right? So, yes, I'd like to ask the student here from our Bhiwadi campus. Who are you?
Ma'am, a human being?
You're a human being. Okay. So, you're a human being, but do you think, what is your name?
Ma'am, Ayush.
Ayush. Were you the same Ayush in your last life?
Ma'am, I don't think so.
Will you be the same Ayush in your next life?
Ma'am, I don't believe that there is any next life or previous life.
Oh,
Only
okay.
this life.
So then we'll have to work on this also. ठीक है. So my fundamental question to you, Ayush, is that are you only this human being? Or is there something else in you which is not visible to you, but something within you that is eternal, that is infinite, and that remains, that nothing can happen to that? Because the human being will decay and die one day, right? But is there something in you that is going to be there eternally, infinitely?
Ma'am, I think I'm only a human being.
Okay. So we have asked the person who needs this question today the most. Okay, thank you.
I, me, will be found if I. The real purpose of life it will be found if we transform ourselves and be conscious and set a main goal.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. My question was, who am I? Yes.
And in my opinion, we all are God's divine childs.
Very beautiful. We are all God's children. Okay.
Ma'am, we all are the instruments of God, and God is guiding us to reach to Him by different forms of life.
Very nice. Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to correct him in class 9th. Ma'am, there is a shlok and ma'am that means that God is व्याप्त मतलब वो हर चीज़ में है हर जगह में लाइक हर चीज़ में है हर जगह है तो मैम लाइक मेरे अंदर भी भगवान है बस मुझे गाइड कर रहे हैं मैं उनका इंस्ट्रूमेंट नहीं मैं खुद ही भगवान
हाँ, भगवान बनने में टाइम लगेगा
Yes,
हम
ma'am.
सबको, बट हाँ, यू आर राइट. वो श्लोक बता दीजिए क्या है? ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किंच जगत्यां जगत् तेन भुञ्जीत मा कृतः कस्य स्विद्धनम्. Very nice, very nice. So my question is, are we human beings who are having a spiritual experience in this life? Or are we spiritual beings who are having a human experience in this life? Think about it, huh?
Beings with living in a human experience of life, like God came down to earth to our level, so He can guide us, so we can also be supreme in His way.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. So, to answer this question, through Apta Vakya Praman. What is Apta Vakya Praman? The statements of realized souls which are proof in themselves. So, through these proofs, words, statements of realized souls, I will attempt to convey to you your real identity. That identity that travels from life to life to life. That being that is the real you. So, through such statements, we will move the journey forward.
Ma'am, I want to say my answer to who am I. I think personally, I think I'm a footstep in the guidance towards evolution of human beings.
Very good, very good. that he's talking about evolution in the garden of life, God's garden. Beautiful. Now, this is the 7th verse from the 15th chapter of the Gita. We are talking of Apta Vakya Praman. Mamaye Van, if you all know, please speak together. Mamaye Vansho. Very good. Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhutah sanatanah. And Shri Krishna is saying to Arjun, it is an eternal portion of me that becomes the jiva in the world of living creatures. What does it mean? God has become the soul that is within us. And that takes us to the another mantra which we always chant. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. That is complete, full, perfect. And he has become perfect in so many souls, right? All the souls here are perfect. Ayush, each one of us is actually that soul that the divine has become. That is why the child at the back said, I am God. I am God in the making, work in progress. That soul is perfect, but we have something imperfect outside. We'll come to it. It is our soul that is traveling from life to life to life. And we are that. So, we are now quoting from the Upanishads. We're continuing with our Apta Vakya Praman. And most of my children must be knowing these. Tat Tvam Asi. Say it after me. Tat Tvam Asi. The Upanishads are telling us that thou art. The next one, Aham Brahmasmi. Say it. I am Brahman. Brahman is all that there is. All that there is, the entire, everything that is Brahman. God has become the, right? And the next one is Soham Asmi. I am He. So, Sri Aurobindo says in his essays on the Gita, each soul is in reality an eternal individual. See the words, eternal individual. So it shows that each soul is unique. Each soul is an individual, unique individual. And it is eternal. Now let's move on. An eternal, unborn, undying power of the one existence. That one has become the many. And what is the power of the soul? It is an eternal, unborn, undying power of the one existence. Unquote. So, if we want to draw an analogy from physics, yeah, you all must be remembering the law of conservation of energy. Can one person just tell me in very short one statement?
Ma'am, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
Yes.
In any chemical reaction or anything.
Very good. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So the energy is there, right? It can never be destroyed. It can keep transforming itself, right? And if we change the word energy to consciousness, no problem? No problem? If we replace the word energy by the word consciousness, we can safely say that the eternal consciousness, it is the eternal consciousness which changes names and forms, itself remaining forever the same. Clear? Anybody with any doubts, please raise your hand.
Mom, I have a question that why would God come on this earth to become perfect again?
Because this is his Leela, it is his play. And the joy that we get when we are imperfect and when we consciously transform ourselves and become a little more perfect, can you imagine the joy that you're experiencing? Isn't the joy wonderful? Don't you feel good when you have been able to get over a challenge?
Ma'am, but is living just a emotion or a feeling?
Living is not just an emotion or a feeling, it is a progress. There is progress in life. If he had not become many, and if he were just there, we wouldn't be experiencing all this. So he saw within himself so much variety. And he says, I want to play with myself. I want to become many. And then I want to have a game with myself. He is in you, he is in her, he is in her. It is him who's playing with himself in life, which is him, in the universe, which is him. All the game is going on within himself. It's a little difficult concept, esoteric. Difficult, but not impossible to grasp. When you allow it to seep into you, you will be able to enjoy it.
When we were separated from him to go back to him, then why did we forget it?
This is the nature that he has made the world of, that we have forgotten what we were. See, when you go for a holiday from the school, all of you friends are going together for a holiday. In the beginning, what do you tell your parents? Your parents say, देखो, airport पहुँचते ही मुझे phone करना. As soon as you reach your hotel, phone करना. और दिन में कम से कम 5-6 बार मुझे phone करना कि to know that you are all right. And we all say, हाँ हाँ पक्का करेंगे. And we do that the first day. By the second day, we become so engrossed in our holiday. We are seeing the sea, we are seeing the ocean, we are having Antakshari, we are having so much fun. We make one phone call and then we forget. By the third day, we forget the third phone call also. It is something like that. That when we get engrossed in life, we forget. And the whole game of life that God has created is to remember, who am I? Who is God? What is this creation? What should be my relationship with me? What should be my relationship with this creation? What should be my relationship with him? So the whole Leela is this. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Because we have become imperfect. You see, but while you're saying that why are we forgetting, let us remember the whole story of evolution. What were we earlier? We were matter, which had very little consciousness. Then we became plants. We had a little more consciousness, right? We started multiplying, we started giving to the world. Then we had more consciousness, we became animals. Then the ape, then the human being. And now today you're Mehak. Look at the change, the shift in consciousness. Isn't it great? So the whole forgetfulness will vanish as we become more and more conscious. Right?
And ma'am, right now you talked about law of conservation of energy. And ma'am, you replaced the word energy with consciousness. So ma'am, in that way, can we say that science is derived from spirituality?
It is 100% derived from spirituality, but that's a long topic. And I am not the right person to speak about it. We should ask Shraddhaluji to give us one extra session to explain science and spirituality. He is the one who would be able to explain to you in much better terms. I am not fit for that. But this we know, that all the rishis, all that we know about life, about this world, our rishis even knew the distance of the earth and the sun, the distance between the two. At that time, there were nothing to measure. How did they know?
Yes, ma'am.
They knew by what Sri Aurobindo calls knowledge by identity. Knowledge, it's a very important term. You should write it down. And Sri Aurobindo says that if you concentrate on something, and with great concentration, suppose it's your physics lesson, you concentrate on that lesson, you become friends with that lesson, the lesson will start revealing itself. The rishis had reached that state where knowledge was revealing itself to them. They knew the circumference of the earth. They knew that there were 9 planets. They knew that the earth was round. They never thought that the earth was flat as the West thought. How did they know all that? There were no spaceships, but they knew. So this is called knowledge by identity. what Sri Aurobindo has told us, right?
Ma'am, Shraddha, this is for the information of the child. The talk on science and spirituality, this was done by Shraddhaluji during the COVID times with us when we did the
yes.
spiritual retreat. And the link of one of these talks is on YouTube. I've shared it with the school heads.
All
So
right.
Asha ma'am can share it with them and they can see that.
Wonderful. So there's already been a talk of Shraddhaluji, science and spirituality. The link will be shared with you. So I'd like to go ahead now. So this universe, this whole Srishti, my dear children, is not a creation of God. People say ना ये तो अरे ये सृष्टि तो उनकी रचना है. नहीं, ये सृष्टि उनकी रचना नहीं है. देखो, एक पॉटर है. A potter makes pots from clay. The potter uses clay to make his rachna, which is the pots. The potter and the pots are not one. Are they one? Can we say that the potter has become the pot? No, we can't. An artist creates a painting. He uses canvas, paper, whatever. He uses outside material and he creates. So वो उनकी रचना है. But ये सृष्टि उनकी रचना नहीं है. On the contrary, unlike the potter and the artist, God has not made the world from something else. Right? Just like gold itself becomes the gold ornaments. We can say gold, जितना gold के brick में उतना ही gold is in the ornament. Similarly, God has become this universe. The substance of which this universe is made of is God Himself. Today in the morning, somebody here said to me, or yesterday it was, said that God is perfect here. But what about the substance? I said the substance is also God, but He is imperfect in the substance and He is perfect inside. Right? So this whole universe is a projection, a self-projection of God. ये सृष्टि उनका आत्म विस्तार है. You know, we talked about one of our blocks is called Varuna. What is Varuna? What does Varuna do? Vastness. He teaches us to become vast. So, even if you look at the word Srishti, the word Srishti comes from which root word? Srij. And Srij root word का क्या मतलब है? It means to project. To project. Just like in the Mundaka Upanishad, I'm sure our students know, I cite from our Mundaka Upanishad verse 1.1.7. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad. In the Mundaka Upanishad, our Rishi is saying that this universe is like a projection of, like the spider projects a web from himself and can take it back in. Similarly, this world is a projection of God Himself. So you want to continue with the verse, please? And every child who knows the verse, please.
यथोर्णनाभिः सृजते ग्रहणते च यथा पृथिव्याम् औषधयः सम्भवन्ति यथा सतः पुरुषात् केशलोमानि तथाक्षरात् सम्भवन्तीह विश्वम्.
Very good. Someday, if you all wish, the earlier children who were part of the spiritual retreat in 2018-19 have heard the story of creation. But now new children, younger children have come in. So if ever you all want to go through the story of creation, we can do it again in the school. Okay, all those who want to hear the story of creation, how this universe came into being. It's all given in our Vedas. How many of you would like to know, ye Srishti, how did God become? So even Palak Didi, we will get her back to school. So you all must be wondering why I am going into all this detail. My dear students and teachers, it is to assert the reality of us, to assert to you the reality of our existence, the reality of you and me, the inviolable eternity of this existence. You know, the reason is that later on in life, because of the possible influence of Mayavad, which is unfortunately still quite pervasive, I hope that someday you do not start believing that you are just an illusion, that this Srishti, this world is just an illusion. ये सब माया है, तुम नहीं हो, हम नहीं है. Please do not believe that. We are real. If the real has become this, how can the real be real and this not be real? Right? No doubt. We are an imperfect manifestation. All of us are imperfect. An imperfect manifestation, an imperfect becoming of God. God has become us. Our physical being is still prone to diseases, ill health, imperfections, and mortality. And our emotional vital being is still full of all the negativities like desires, greed, anger, disbelief. And our mental being is so limited in its knowledge. So that means we are imperfect, right? But do we have something perfect within us to guide us? Who is our real guru? Who? The Atma, the soul, what is called the Ruh. What Palak Didi and Shelly Didi and Rahul Bhaiya said, called the inner Google. So let us now answer our first existential question. Who am I? Please say after me, I am that self-luminous light within. I am the soul. The Atma. The Ruh. Which was, which is, and which shall be eternally. So, now what the next question that logically arises from this is, आप बोल रहे हो कि I am the imperfect being. You are saying I am the perfect being. Am I the imperfect outer being or am I the perfect inmost being? हम इन दोनों में से कौन से हैं? हाँ, दोनों हैं. We are both. I am a layered being. I am a layered being. In my inmost reality, I am the divine. I am Soham. I am the perfect. I am the eternal, the infinite. I am the immortal. In my inner being, in my subtle being or Sukshma Sharir, I am connected to the entire universe. We won't speak about it because it is very difficult to understand the subtle being at this level, even for us. So we will speak about the inmost and we'll speak about the outer. In my outer being, I am an imperfect individual, gradually moving towards perfection. Now, all that I have said till now, I would like to put it forward to you in the form of a poetry. May I? Hey Krishna, है नहीं पृथक अस्तित्व मेरा. पृथक means separate. है नहीं पृथक अस्तित्व मेरा, मैं वही ज्योत हूँ जो तू है. हम दोनों के एकत्व का आकर विश्वास कराना होगा. उनको बुला रहे ना कि आप ही आके करो, आप ही आके मुझे समझाओ. मेरे अंदर बैठे आप बाहर आओ, एक्सप्लेन टू मी. है नहीं पृथक अस्तित्व मेरा, मैं वही ज्योत हूँ जो तू है. हम दोनों के एकत्व का आकर विश्वास कराना होगा. सृष्टि नहीं रचना तेरी, सृष्टि नहीं रचना तेरी, तेरे अस्तित्व का है विस्तार. सृष्टि में तेरे अस्तित्व का आकर आभास दिलाना होगा. तू वृक्ष, मैं सूक्ष्म बीज तेरी. तू वृक्ष, मैं सूक्ष्म बीज तेरी. तू अग्नि, मैं चिंगारी हूँ. अग्नि बनने में वो सक्षम है, चिंगारी को याद दिलाना होगा. चैतन्य ज्योत के रूप में, चैतन्य ज्योत के रूप में सृष्टि के मध्य तुम बसते हो. सृष्टि के मध्य तुम बसते हो. हृदय गुह्य अलौकिक लौ को आकर साक्षात दिखाना होगा. ठीक है. So, thank you. I hope the first part of my answer to our first existential question, who am I, is clear to all. And I told you that who am I will bring some more related questions, right? So the next related question is, what can we do to be able to experience this inner divinity, our soul, and not only experience it in the morning ek bar, constantly, all day through, what can we do to be able to experience this divinity within us? See, children, no sooner we start recognizing the presence of this presence within, it starts making its presence felt. When we recognize the presence of this presence starts making its presence felt, right? So then all that we have to do is start remembering it in everything that we are doing. From the most mundane work like picking up a glass of water and drinking it. So I remember him, I offer him the water that I'm going to drink, and I invite him into the process of drinking the water. So there are three things. First, remember, then offer the work that you're doing, and then invite him into the work that you're doing. Can we repeat the three? Remember, offer, invite. Remember, offer, invite. Now, it could be something as simple as drinking a glass of water. It could be something so important in our life, like choosing the stream, whether I should take commerce or I should take science or I should take something very important, something which seems not important, all of it. We must remember to do these 3 steps. What are the 3 steps? Yes. And then when we start inviting this presence into our outer works all the time, one of the verses of the Gita tells us very clearly the same thing. Which verse is it? Who can tell me? Which verse tells us that we have to do this? Yes. So, okay, we'll all say it together. Yad karoshi, yadashnasi, tapasyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. Sri Aurobindo has translated this verse as, whatever you do, whatever you enjoy, whatever you sacrifice, whatever you give, whatever energy of tapasya or effort you put into your work, do it as an offering to me, as a madarpanam. And the more we remember to offer to our soul and invite it to all our outer engagements, the more connected we will be with our soul, who is our real guru in life, who we are, right? It will start positively impacting our work. And through this continuous process of remembering, offering and inviting, we will gradually start accepting this presence as being a part of our own self, as being me. We will start becoming that. That will start flowing outside within our outer being. See, this leads us to one more question, another related question. What is the advantage of doing this? We have to understand, right, Ayush? What is the advantage of connecting our outer being with our inmost divine presence? ये सब करने का फायदा क्या है? Should we discuss that? Do you want to know इसका फायदा क्या है? Right? So, dear students, we are all work in progress, right or wrong? Is any one of us perfect already? None of us are perfect already. We are all work in progress. So the advantage of connecting with that which is perfect is that the outer being, our physical being, our vital emotional being, our mental being will get perfection, will start flowing into our outer body, outer emotions, and outer mind. See, just as when our computer or smartphone has connectivity with the World Wide Web, www, with Google Baba, we feel very empowered. अरे अब तो सारी नॉलेज मेरे पास है, मैं एक सेकंड में बताता हूँ और गूगल बाबा ने बता दिया और हम हाउ स्मार्ट वी फील, राइट? इमेजिन if you're connected to that who has created the human beings who have created Google. So that is what there is inside us. So let us observe the advantage of being continuously, constantly, consciously, continuously, constantly and consciously connected to perfection itself. Right? See, let's see what is the advantage. You want to know the words? Let us continuously, consciously, constantly connected. 4 C's. Okay? So what happens to our physical body? So all of us wish to have a perfectly healthy, disease-free, youthful, agile body. Who doesn't want a youthful, agile, disease-free, healthy body? Everybody wants that, right? Now imagine if perfection, which is right there within us, can flow into us and our physical being can become healthier and healthier. What a big advantage it is for our physical being, right? That we are going for sports, we connect with this. And we say, you flow from within. We are going for swimming, we connect within. We are doing yoga, we connect within. Anything that we are doing in the physical world, we connect within. So the perfect starts flowing into our imperfect outer being. Of course, it doesn't mean कि अगर हमने बुला लिया और हम सो रहे हैं. I've called him, he will do the work. No. The advantage is that when we call him, he will make us more conscious about our body and will make us want to work and make our body healthier, disease-free and better, right? Agile, supple. All that will happen if we invite. This is the advantage to the physical body. See, we all aspire to get over our small frailties of our emotions, our anger, our jealousies, our ego, our overwhelming desires. All of us have that problem. We all know कि हमारे में कमी है. Imagine how much easier it would become if we had access to that universality, oneness, love, unity. All that is right here within us, so close to us. इतना proximity है, इसको बाहर flow करना है बस. इन हमको क्या करना है? Remember, offer, invite. बार बार हमको लगता है फिर desire crop up कर गया. I should not be like that. ये desire को कहाँ ले जाएंगे? Clean करने के लिए. यहाँ offer करेंगे मदरपणम कि भाई ये desire है, I offer to you. Let thy will be done. आपकी क्या मर्जी है? Should I pursue this desire or should I try to get over this desire? And if I have to get over this desire, you give me the strength, right? So imagine this is the advantage for our emotional being. अब एक being बचा है. कौन सा? Mental being. We all aspire for knowledge and wisdom. And we all know that our minds are limited. Imagine if our mind starts getting access to unlimited knowledge, limitless knowledge, higher ranges of knowledge. Sri Aurobindo has said that beyond this mind, there is a higher mind. Then there is an illumined mind. Then there is an intuitive mind. Then there is the overmind. And then there is that golden lid. And beyond the golden lid is the supermind. है ना? हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्य अपिहितं मुखम् तव त्वं पूषन्न पावृणु सत्य धर्माय दृष्टये. This is from the Isha Upanishad. So all these minds are available to us, provided we connect with the perfect within us. Yes, my dear aspiring Jaipurian family, all we have to do is turn inwards towards the Google Baba that Shelly ma'am, Palak Didi and Rahul Bhaiya have spoken about. All we have to do is turn inwards, find that living, throbbing, beautiful presence within. Take a plunge into this supreme and wonderful pool of light, pool of oneness, unity, sweetness. This soul is also called Madhvada. In the Vedas, what is it called? Madhvada. Root word, Madhu. Madhu is sweet. So it is called the taster of honey. That is what the soul is called. That is how the rishis have experienced it. Right? It is as simple a process as this. Now we come to the second existential question. What was the second existential question? What is the purpose of life? What is the real purpose of our life? My dear children and teachers, if the aim of our life is to be happy, then the destination also is happiness, right? Then we have to choose the path that takes us to the destination. Right? बॉम्बे जाना है तो रोड तो वही पकड़ना पड़ेगा ना जो बॉम्बे को लीड करता है. अगर आयुष you want to be happy in life, so if you want to be happy in life, you have to choose the path that takes you to happiness, right? We don't, do you want that fleeting happiness that we are happy now but gone in 60 seconds? ऐसा happiness चाहिए? एक आइसक्रीम खा लो, अब भी happiness मिलेगा, right? Now, one gulab jamun, now you'll get happiness, but gone in 60 seconds. Is that the kind of happiness we're looking for? No? Now, you think about it. You do a good deed and you feel happy. But कितने देर के लिए happiness feel होता है? थोड़ा ज़्यादा. You are happy for a little longer. Now, suppose you write a great poem. And how long does the joy last? Much longer. Because you can recite it later and again feel happy about it. But this does not, now we are looking for that joy which lasts forever and ever and ever and ever. Constant, continuous joy, right? It doesn't mean that if you're looking for constant, continuous joy, we stop having the gulab jamun. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that we stop doing good deeds. It doesn't mean that we stop writing inspirational poetry. It just means that we must also aim for everlasting bliss, everlasting happiness, the true Ananda. And for everlasting bliss, for that true Ananda, we need to connect to that whose nature is bliss. Right or wrong? अगर कोई के पास खाली एंगर है, आप उसके पास जाएंगे तो आपको bliss मिलेगा? नहीं मिलेगा ना? See, the nature of fire is to burn. You put your hand into fire, it will burn. You put your hand into water, the nature of water is to drench, so you will get wet. So, we have to find that whose nature is Ananda. And then, when we go into that Ananda, we go and experience that bliss, then we will be able to experience bliss constantly. But who is to experience that bliss? Through what instruments do we experience that bliss? What are the instruments through whom we want to experience happiness? Physical, vital, mental. Now, suppose we want to experience bliss through this physical being, but my elbow is really paining very badly. All my consciousness will go into the pain. And even if bliss wants to flow through me, it cannot flow through me. What does that mean? That the physical body has to be made as perfect as possible so that the bliss that is inside us is able to flow out. through our physical body. Right? Understood? Now, suppose a flutist knows how to really play fabulous flute, such melodious flute, but his flute is bended or it is blocked. Will he be able to play? Suppose a beautiful poem is coming and my pen has no ink. Will I be able to write? And the poem is flowing. It's flowing. If I don't write it now, I'll forget it because it's flowing from somewhere else. So what does this mean? Our aim, our purpose in life must be to perfect these instruments through whom we want to experience joy. Right? So that we can do by our continuous remembering, offering, and inviting. Right? Our aim, our purpose in life must be to perfect these outer instruments, the physical, the vital, and the mental, in such a manner that when the divine Ananda wants to flow through us, when it wishes to flow through us, that Ananda may flow through us uninterruptedly. It should just, without any corruption of our desires, without any corruption from our ego, right? To sum up, the purpose of our life is to become that perfect bow through whom the divine may shoot his arrow, the arrow of his will. And the arrow should reach its target absolutely in one point. There should be no deviation. But that will only be possible when we perfect our outer instruments. When we are able to look into our vital and say, I think I find the problem of desires there. I need to work on that. And then we turn inwards and we invite and we work on our vital. We do the higher things and the lower things get dissolved, as Alokda had told us. And we work and work and work and purify our vital. We make our physical body strong and healthy through sports, swimming, yoga, right? And for the mind, we read the right literature that connects us to the highest. So I would like to again recite a poem to you. And this poem attempts to sum up Shri Krishna's words to Arjun. Shri Krishna ने अर्जुन से कहा, श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन से क्या कहा? हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण, हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण उत्तम संकल्प एक मेरा है. उस संकल्प का बनना निमित्त मात्र धर्म गुणाकेश अब तेरा है. At every moment, my dear children, God has a unique will, a sankalpa for each one of us. The sankalpa that he may have for Krinali will be different from the one that he has for Ayush, will be different from the one he has for Pramini ma'am. And the sankalpa that he has for Pramini ma'am at this moment will be different from the sankalpa he has for Pramini ma'am in the next moment. So what do we have to become? We have to become that perfect channel through whom his sankalpa is able to manifest itself in life. Right? हर मानव के लिए प्रतिक्षण उत्तम संकल्प एक मेरा है. उस संकल्प का बनना निमित्त मात्र धर्म गुणाकेश अब तेरा है. जब वासना रहित और दंभ रहित. When you become desireless and egoless, Arjun, जब वासना रहित और दंभ रहित धनंजय तू हो जाएगा. संकल्प और कर्मों में अपने तू प्रभु को आन बुलाएगा. तब मेरे दिव्य संकल्पों का निमित्त मात्र हो बन जाएगा. दिव्य, पूर्ण और निष्पाप. दिव्य, डिवाइन, पूर्ण, परफेक्ट, निष्पाप, सिलनेस. दिव्य, पूर्ण और निष्पाप हर कर्म तेरा हो जाएगा. साधर्म्य मुक्ति की ओर अग्रसर परिवर्तित स्वभाव होगा तेरा. दिव्य कर्म प्रवाहित होंगे तुझसे निमित्त मात्र होगा मेरा। फिर माधव को अर्पण कर युद्ध में अर्जुन ने भाग लिया। जीवन का लक्ष्य स्पष्ट हुआ, कर्म दिव्य हुए, पार्थ जाग गया। और अब श्री कृष्ण आपसे मेरा व्यक्तिगत अरदास है, मेरी व्यक्तिगत अरदास है। रणभूमि में मैं भी हूं हे कृष्ण, कायरता इसमें वर्जित है। रणभूमि में मैं भी हूं हे कृष्ण, कायरता इसमें वर्जित है। मैं भी अर्जुन हूं, अर्जुन की क्षमता मुझ में भी अर्जित है। बनूंगी ऐसा सहज धनुष, कृष्ण स्वयं भुजा में ले लेंगे। प्रत्यंचा जब जब तानेंगे, दिव्य संकल्प बाण लक्ष्य भेदेंगे। तेरी थी, तेरी हूं, तेरी ही रहूंगी हे प्रभु। जड़ चेतन में प्रियतम तेरे दर्शन की है आरज़ू। तेरे कर का धनुष बन दर्शन करूंगी रूबरू। Thank you. May these two existential questions rise constantly, continuously in your inner being. May you seek newer and newer answers to these questions. Look for answers to these questions in books, in scriptures, from learned people, from the net. The world is your oyster. Don't settle down. Read, understand, find out. खोज रखो अपने अंदर, explore करो. Soak in from all the sources of knowledge, but accept only that answer which resonates with your inmost being. Be conscious of what your inmost being is telling you. May you fulfill the highest and truest expression of yourselves as a human being. May your outer becoming become that which it had initially started out to become. एक हमने प्रण लिया था ईश्वर से जब हम निकले थे, बताया था ना, हॉलिडे पे निकले हैं, तब एक प्रण लिया था, मैं आपको रोज फोन करूंगा, आपको बार बार आपसे बात करूंगा, बार बार आपको पत्र लिखूंगा. उस प्रॉमिस को याद रखना. Continuously keep in touch with God who is there within you. Right? Remember your original contract with the divine. And may you finally remember who you really are. May you climb from heights to greater heights. The purpose of our life is to become that feather which is blown by the breath of the Lord. Sri Aurobindo's words, huh? I began this talk with a quotation from Khalil Gibran, and I end this talk with a quotation from the Mundaka Upanishad. Yada nadyah syandamanaha samudrestam gachanti nama rupe vihaya tatha vidwan nama rupa dvimuktah parat param purusham upayati divyam. As rivers in their flowing reach their home in the ocean and cast off their names and forms, even so, the one who knows is delivered from name and form and reaches the supreme beyond the Most High, even the divine person.
Why does God wants human to become him?
This is the only thing that we can become. Can water become something else? You can mix something in it, but originally it is water. We are God. God is a substance. God has become us.
Yes.
But we are not projecting what we are. We are not manifesting God in us.
Yes.
So he is saying that you have the potential.
Ma'am, for like the evolution, ma'am.
Exactly. It is the process of evolution.
Okay, ma'am.
What we are, see, you'll say that why does a seed of a bargat ka ped want to become a bargat ka ped? अब that seed का nature ही वही है.
Yes, ma'am.
जो nature होगा वही तो बनेगा.
Okay, ma'am. And my question is that People who do bad deeds, does God make them do, or they do it by their own? And why? And if they do it by their own, why does God not stop them?
God doesn't stop because God has given us a mind now. Till a tiger is killing his prey. He's not doing anything wrong. It is in his nature. But now we have evolved to become human beings. Human beings have a mind which has the process of which has the ability to discern. So God wants us to progress. If God keeps stopping us, then how will we know what is the right thing to do? If our mother keeps holding our hand to make us walk, how will we one day learn to walk ourselves? She teaches us to walk, and then as she realizes that he's learned to walk, she leaves her hand. So we have to be able to take our own decisions, make our mistakes. Those who are doing wrong, they have to go on doing wrong till they understand that there is a process and they want to change. He doesn't want to impose himself. By imposing himself, he will retard our progress. Right? This is all a process of evolution.
Mom, in starting you have said that do not think that we are an illusion and world is not real. Why is it so?
Why I said this or why it is?
Mom, why you have said?
Why I have said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because most of the literature of India, unfortunately, is speaking that all this is illusion, all this is Maya. So I don't want that our students should feel or believe that this is Maya. What this is real. But this real has to be transformed. Right? So later on in life, when you hear about Mayavad, you don't start believing that this is Maya, this is illusion. That is why I said that. Got it? Is it clear?
I have a question that it is said whenever there is a destruction on earth, God Himself comes on earth and saves us. But why doesn't He come even before the destruction takes place?
Because the destruction is man-made. And that destruction, we are responsible for it and we have to learn from it. Every difficulty that we have in life is an opportunity for us to grow further. So every destruction, every problem that comes, we have to find our own solutions so that we progress. Again, all your questions are taking us towards evolution. There is evolution. If he comes and just does zap and all has become all right, then will we learn? What are we doing to the climate? What are we doing to the environment?
We are destroying it.
Destroying it, continuously destroying it. And he comes and zaps it and makes it perfect. And then again we'll start destroying it because we've not learned. It is when the water starts dropping in droplets in our homes that we will start realizing we should not waste water. How many of us are conscious that while we are soaping our hands, we should close the water tap? How many? All of us should become like that. How many of us, while brushing our teeth, keep the water closed? Very good. Excellent. Excellent. How many of us are conscious of every drop of water, electricity, whatever we can do? How many of us are consciously planting trees? So all this progress has to be within us. If God comes and does it, then have we progressed?
No, ma'am.
So it is for evolution to take place.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just like how Shiv ji had Nandi as his messenger, same way our purpose in life is to become the bow, is to become like Nandi who will give messages to the future mankind.
How beautiful. So our purpose in life is to become the Nandi who will give messages to
the future life.
Yeah, so we have to give, Nandi has to give messages to himself first. You have to give messages to yourself. Your inner you, your inmost you has to give messages to your outer you which is imperfect so that the outer you starts becoming more and more perfect, consciously transforming itself. Right?
Ma'am, how can we say that God divine is perfect
when God took the avatar of Narsimha to defeat him, someone, cause he could not defeat him in his original state. He's again and again seeing that he's imperfect and then again becoming perfect. So why are people assuming that he is perfect?
He is not, he is taking different forms because all our gods that we have, all the avatars, they are a form of evolution. You see the first avatar, the next avatar became, first there was the Matsya avatar, and then the next avatar could be on water as well as in land, and then the next avatar, and then the next avatar. Narsingh was when it was half animal, half human being, and then it became the avatar. I started forgetting the one, the Baman avatar, right? And then the Baman avatar is a shorter human being. So every avatar has brought to earth the progressive evolution of earth. And when the avatar brings it on earth, it's like bringing a visa office on the earth. And he gives you the visa that you too can become that. When Sri Ram came on earth, he brought the perfect human being, Maryada Purushottam, on earth. He brought that on earth, so we all had that visa that we all can try to become like him. Then came Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna came with what? Sri Krishna came with something beyond being the right. He said it is important to be the right, but you have to be a channel of God himself. And if God wants you to kill Duryodhan by striking him in the thigh, it is right to do that. So you go beyond God, beyond the right, and become the perfect channel of God himself. Right? So each God has brought the next level of evolution on earth. All right?
Now, my question is that we talk about equality, ma'am, that everyone is equal. And ma'am, you also said that the will of God for everyone is different. So, ma'am, why is it different and how is it different?
I may be having a certain negativity in me which I need help for. So his will for me will be different from the will that he has for you, because you may be having another progress that is lined up for you. Each one of us has a different trajectory, right? So according to our graph, where we are, his will be according to where we are at that particular moment, so we can grow there. And each one of us is unique. So how can he have the same will for each one of us? Right? When I say that we are all equal, means we all have the same divinity within each one of us. There is no difference in that spark. So whether as soon as the outer being gets the opportunity, everybody is able to perform according to their, but all depends also on the opportunity. Right?
My question is that how can we achieve true Ananda?
How can we achieve true Ananda? The whole talk was about that.
A bit more in detail.
More in detail. Okay. Where is Ananda within you? Where is Ananda, Kashvi?
Mom, like sometimes when we get angry, so some bit of evil comes in within us. So how can we get rid of it?
So, whenever we get angry, we don't realize when we're getting angry, because at that time, that force takes over and it makes us angry. But after that, if we realize, then we've given you that three-step process. What is it? So I remember God and I tell God that I got angry. I'm not feeling very good about it. I offer what I have done to you. So second step, offering. And the third step, invite. I invite you to help me transform myself. The minute you make that connection, again and again and again, when you make that connection, you're making that connection with whom?
With God.
And who is God? What is his nature?
He is very patient and he helps us.
His nature, he's called, by people who have experienced him, they've given him the name Satchidanand. Sat, that which is. Chit, that which is always aware, conscious. Ananda, whose nature is bliss. So if you want to experience bliss, you have to take a dip into bliss all the time. And where is the bliss? Where is the bliss situated? Right here. The soul within us is God Himself. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. When that little sparks come out of the Agni, Agni doesn't become apurna. It remains Purna. So God remains Purna and He has become Purna. And that perfect God is sitting right there within you. Right?
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
keep taking a dip into Him, again and again into that pool of Ananda, when you take a bath of that love that God is showering on you all the time, you have to just connect. And He connects. He's everywhere. Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
That is the way. Thank you.
As you said that we are God, ma'am, we are evolving. So, ma'am, why do we thank God? Why don't not we thank ourselves as we are God?
We are good, but we are
God.
we are God, but we are God in our inmost being. But we have another layer which is an inner being, and then we have an outer being which is imperfect. So the perfect, the outer being, this outer body which still gets diseased, which still dies, which still gets unhealthy. Our emotions are still having jealousy and anger and greed, right? Our mind is not totally does not have limitless knowledge. It is limited. So all these imperfect beings that are our outer beings have to be slowly, they have to evolve slowly and become perfect. And for that they have to keep connecting to the perfect and inviting the perfect outside within our outer being to make them perfect.
How can we manifest things in our life?
What do you mean by manifest things? What things do you want to manifest?
Ma'am, that I am.
If you want to manifest happiness in life, you have to become happiness. And then happiness will be manifested through you. Right?
Yes.
If you want to manifest good marks, you have to make an effort to study hard. And you will manifest good marks. We don't have a magic wand. The magic wand is inside us, who we can connect with, bring him out, but make an effort outside. No magic wand is going to work if we make no effort outside. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, my question is that, ma'am, can we summarize everything that you can say by saying this, that, ma'am, the inner being is there pure?
Inmost.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the inmost being is ever pure, and ma'am, outside, ma'am, you have put a cover over it, ma'am, which is impure. Ma'am, you just have to remove it, ma'am, by physically, mentally, and vitally. Or, ma'am, you have to transform that the impure being to a pure being, so that that outer being could help the inner being.
There's a little confusion here. The inmost being is absolutely perfect. It is
Yes,
God
ma'am.
Himself. The outermost being, the physical, vital, and mental, which you all are aware of, is imperfect.
Yes, ma'am.
And the imperfect does not have to be covered. It has to be cured. It has to be transformed. It has to evolve consciously. As we consciously try and evolve, try and make our body more and more perfect, make an effort through our sports, through our swimming, through all the physical activities that we can do to make our physical being strong and perfect, so that when the joy, ananda from inside, from the inmost being, wants to manifest itself through this body, the body must be perfect to be able to let it manifest, right? Similarly, our outer vital being has to be made more and more perfect by coming to our higher vital, by manifesting nice things, good thoughts, good emotions, emotions of love, oneness, unity. When we do that, then the lower emotions start withering away. And by that, our outer vital will become more and more perfect, and we will be able to manifest the love and oneness that is within the inmost being.
Ma'am, but right now, ma'am, I'm not the pure innermost being.
Inmost being is God Himself.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, I'm not that. So, ma'am, can I say that, ma'am? It's like, ma'am, my impure being or ma'am, my outermost being is covering the inner being right now. We have to convert that outermost being into purer form so that it all unite in an harmony so that it forms one task.
Yes, we have to unite the outermost being with the inmost being so that the inmost being can flow out. We have to unite them, as you say in your words, so that the inmost being can flow out from our work, from our emotions, from our thoughts.
Ma'am, you said that living is a progress in the evolution of mankind. So, when a person gets aged and dies, does that mean regression?
It doesn't mean regression because there is no death. The soul will continue, it will go into the next body, and the next body will start off from where we left. So, you've heard of these singers, people who write music, even if they are deaf, even if they cannot hear, they could still hear music and they could still write music. Mozart, Beethoven, look at the work that they've done. The great mathematicians, all of a sudden they just know all the numbers. There's some work that they've done in the past which carries forward in the next life if they have perfected that part of themselves in that life. Then that part carries forward. Right?
I have a question that why just we humans are able to possess that ability to become God? Why not the other creatures?
Other creatures, you mean animals?
Yes, ma'am.
Because evolution is happening. The animal has not been given the mind that can discern, that can choose between the right and the wrong. The animal has been given a nature which it follows completely. It doesn't deviate from its nature. Right? So, but that the mind has come only after evolution, after the human being evolved out of the animal. And then the mind came. So the human being has the choice to choose a higher life or remain where he is or choose a lower life. That choice is ours. Right?
Ma'am, in the starting of the session, you said a question that what should be our relationship with God. So can you please elaborate on that?
Okay. It's such a beautiful question. What can be our relationship with God? What should I say? Our relationship with God will be pure love. To be able to love Him who is love Himself. If you have to describe God in one word, that one word will only be love. Right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
it is, our relationship with God should be one in which we can go to Him whatever be our difficulty. There should be no पर्दा. There's nothing that covers. कोई आवरण नहीं होना चाहिए. अगर हमारे अंदर हमने कुछ गलत काम किया, बहुत गलत काम, बिना झेप के we should be able to go to God and say, you know what, this is what I've done. But I'm coming to you. Help me to transform. Make me your instrument. Make me an instrument of your will. Our prayer should be again and again, oh God, make me a perfect instrument of thy will. Let my thoughts, words, emotions, and actions flow from thee. Let them flow without any kind of corruption from this outer being. Please help me to perfect my outer instruments. Start writing letters to God. In the beginning of my journey too, I had nobody to help me on my journey. And so I used to just write to God. And I wrote letters and letters and letters and letters, so many letters. And I tell you, He answers. It will not come in a written form, but the answers will come. So create a relationship with Him, a relationship of real love.
And my question is that it is said that when we were born in this life, our destiny was already decided. Our fate was decided of this life. So I fail to believe that all the options in life that we have, all the choices that we make were already decided before we were born. Our journey was already decided. I'm facing a dilemma that were all the choices that I've made in my life were already decided, or these choices are the ones that decide my fate and my destiny.
Very good, beautiful question, Adyan. And I think this question must be of 90% people sitting here, including me. What I'll give you the answer to whatever best ability I have. See, we live in very different, our consciousness is different from that consciousness which knows what has been destined for us. We don't know. Now, if Adhyan has reached class 11, the time to choose in class 11 the stream that he has to choose, he'll say, वो तो already decided है. Fate has already taken place. So whatever will come is what God has decided. No. God has not given us that consciousness. We are not in that consciousness where we know what is His will for us. So we have to make our best ability to choose that which is right for me at that moment. So that free choice we have as human beings. Only human beings have that free choice to take that choice, and then whatever we choose after that, what will happen to us is destined, is predestined. ये हमने choose किया, उसके बाद destiny लिखी है.
Ma'am, for example, some things in life happen. Ma'am, we are not sure how they happen. Those things just happen. And some of the choices that we make are crystal clear. We know that if we make this choice, this is going to happen. But some of the choices, some of the things that happen in life, we think we didn't do anything that may result in something like this. So I believe then what you're trying to say is these things that happen in life, for example, me attending the spiritual retreat some time ago, last year, for example, I honestly, I was never one of somebody who is already so spiritual bent of mind, with someone with a spiritual bent of mind. So some things just happen. I never actually decided. So it just came from within, and I just decided to come, and it was a great experience for me.
So happy to hear that, Adhyan, that you don't know what said, some voice spoke inside you, while you knew consciously, you knew you were not spiritually inclined at all. But still there was a voice inside you which said, choose कर लेते हैं, देखेंगे क्या होगा. Let's at the most 5 दिन ही तो निकलेंगे. And you chose. You heard that voice. That voice could speak to you, and there was clarity in your mind, and you joined it. You took the plunge, and then you benefited from it. So that voice is speaking to us all the time. But because of all the clutter all around and all the sounds of life, we are not able to listen to the sound. But to be able to hear His sound, we have to go on connecting. We have to consciously, continuously connect. All the time, constantly we have to connect. And then that sound becomes a little more clearer. Right? And that is happening to you, Adhyan. Very happy to hear your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
When the soul moves on to another body, why doesn't the memory? Why doesn't it remember the memories of another body?
When the soul moves to another body, why does it not remember the memory of its previous?
The memory of the previous life is not remembered by the soul because it is not needed for his progress further. If he remembered, then we would keep thinking, अरे मैं तो उसका husband हूँ, अरे यार मैं तो 8 साल का बच्चा हूँ, अब उसका husband भी याद आएगा, फिर उसका मैं father हूँ, तो बच्चा भी याद आएगा. ये सब कैसे? How will we'll be all messed up? We need to progress in our life. There's a saying, a phrase which says, blossom where you are planted. So you're planted as Adi in the home of Mrs. Jaya Joshi, and that is where you have to blossom. Right? अब जो हो गया उसको छोड़ के अब हमें आगे बढ़ना है. Right?
My question is that we know that God is within us, so why we are afraid from death?
Because we are not connected to Him completely. If we are really connected to Him and we have real faith, absolute faith in Him, we know that the most difficult circumstance that is happening to us is a gift of God. Even though it sounds really difficult to deal with it, yet that is a gift because it is giving us a progress, an opportunity to progress, an opportunity to evolve. But we feel the fear because we are not connected and we don't have enough faith. We have to grow in our faith that He's always there with us, right? And every difficult circumstance, we have to be able to see as an opportunity to progress. ठीक है? पीड़ा को मत कोसो टोको, पीड़ा को मत कोसो टोको, अमृत जानो और पान करो, स्वयं का उत्थान करो. एवरी पीड़ा जो हम पर आती है, प्रगति का अवसर लाती है. उस पीड़ा को मत कोसो टोको, अमृत जानो और पान करो, स्वयं का उत्थान करो.
We say that man is a transitional being, he is not final. But if we consciously transform ourselves to divine, will it be our final stage or we will evolve into something else?
So it's a very, very long way. The final stage is so far away that we should be able, of course, we should keep that in mind. That we have to be, that we are, God has become man and we have to become God. But right now, the stage at which we are, we have to only continuously progress and evolve, consciously evolve, consciously evolve. It's a far away step that we cannot think about just now. We can only keep it as a light in front of us, right?
My question was that, as we all know, that Sri Aurobindo had attained a conscious transformation, something we can't even imagine he experienced that. But why do not, as you said, that when we attain that transformation, it is because that the human turns into the God. So why don't we refer to him as a God? Because he did attain the transformation.
I don't say that he is God or he is an avatar, because it is very difficult for most people to understand that. Those who are Sri Aurobindoites know that Sri Aurobindo is an avatar and the mother is Divine Shakti herself. We have so many instances, remembrances, so many circumstances that speak about it clearly. But it is too early in time to speak about Sri Aurobindo as an avatar to school children. But now that you have said it, yes, those who believe in Sri Aurobindo and the mother know. They don't think. They know he is an avatar and they know that mother is Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, Maheshwari herself. And she is right there even now. She is there. She is the one who's helping the school to progress so beautifully. We are getting the best of teachers here, the best of facilities here. Who's organizing it? It is the mother, right? And we have this beautiful meditation room. Every child who believes, please go and touch your head to the relics, the shrine over there, and pray for a moment, right? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
The people ask, आप बड़े होके क्या बनना चाहते हैं? So ma'am, I says, मुझे पता नहीं है, जो भगवान चाहे मेरे लिए वो मैं बनूंगा. Ma'am, should I believe that or not?
So अर्नव, आपको ये बिलीव करना चाहिए कि मैं ईश्वर से बार बार बोलूं कि आप जो मुझे बनाना चाहते हैं उसका मुझे प्रोत्साहन दीजिए. Give me the inspiration. Tell me, let me know कि what am I to become, so that I can work towards that goal. So you ask God to inform you, to let you know. Huh? Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, actually in yesterday's session, Alok sir told us that some people do not evolve. Ma'am, why does that happen?
They want to spend this life without really consciously evolving. They would like to just, जैसे हैं हम वैसे ठीक हैं. कई लोग ऐसे बोलते नहीं कि मैं ठीक हूँ, मेरे को अब आगे कोई प्रोग्रेस की जरूरत नहीं, मेरी लाइफ एकदम सेट है और बस ठीक है. I don't want to live life consciously.
Ma'am, even after knowing that God is there, and why should we connect to the divine? Even knowing this, there are some people who do not evolve.
So it's okay, it is their choice now, because as I told you, God has given us all free choice to choose. We've been given the mind, which knows how to discriminate. So that person is discriminated and he said, मेरे को नहीं evolve करना है, मैं जैसा हूँ मैं वैसा हूँ. Our purpose in life should be to look only at ourselves. We have to turn our lens inward, our gaze inward and look at ourselves. मैं कितनी progress कर रहा हूँ. Not sit and look at others because it's a waste of time, right? Only look at yourself and progress consciously.
Okay, ma'am.
All right?